welcome to this month's plan with me. Right now I'm just giving you a quick glimpse of my old journal. I am on page 242, so I'm just about done with that. And here is my new one. It is the official bullet journal made in collaboration with Ryder Carol himself. I've been very excited to get this open and start using it, so that's what we're going to do today. Here I am just going through the key and making sure I have all of the symbols that I want to use. And I only felt the need to add one from what they already had on there. Then I'm just going to write down my name and save the other contact info for later. They do include some tips for you to get started if you've never bullet journaled before, but I'm just going to skip that and get right into my future log. Here I'm counting out the rows and columns of the page just so I can get my spacing right. I'm going to use that to make 6 equal rows across this spread. In this first part of the video, I'm really just taking my pencil and my ruler and sketching out all of the different spreads and collections I want to use because I'm really not sure where I'm going with most of it, so I don't want to go in with pen first. Here I'm just taking and writing small calendars for each month that I'm going to be including in this future log. I'm putting them at different positions within the rows so that I can have a little bit of interest on the page. I like things to look asymmetrical for sure. My future log is August through January because I'm starting this in July. For this page of the future log, I'm actually going to lay out all of the different holidays for the year. I like to keep track of just the major holidays, the ones that have a tendency to interrupt business days or affect business times, and this is just a good way to take a quick glance at them. And you'll notice I didn't write down the names of the first half. That's because I copied those dates from my previous journal because they were already in there. And again, I'm just kind of mapping everything out with pencil right now, and I'm going to come back later and write in with the pens and markers I intend on using. This last page of the future log I'm going to use for birthdays. And you will notice here that I have to keep marking and erasing lines. For some reason, this one was really messing with me. I just couldn't seem to get my proportions right. I decided to skip a spread and a half between those collections and the start of July, mostly because I know I'm going to want some more collections in the front of my journal, but I'm not sure what yet. So here I just have a bit of some sizing guideline for the font I want to use on my header page for July. And I just found this font on Pinterest, and I'll try to link it below for you. And down here, I am trying to decide how to lay out the actual calendar on the page. I started off with this very small one and decided I didn't like that. So I went ahead and took some measurements and made the calendar itself a little bit larger. And then to kind of complete the sort of modern minimalist look, I added some line and hexagon details. See, on this first page of July, I am just marking a straight line down the center. This is going to be my monthly log, and I'm doing it down the center because I'm going to have events and appointments on the left side and tasks and to-dos on the right. This next page is going to be my habit tracker. I'm trying something new this month. I've seen several times now where people have drawn out individual calendars for each habit that they plan on tracking. I only have 8 habits that I wish to track this month, so here I'm just figuring out the spacing and drawing out my 8 little boxes that will later be my little calendars. This is a very simple spread. It's just going to be my gratitude log. And this next one over is going to be same as a monthly log, but for my Etsy shop. And now I'm going in with a Staedtler Triplus Fineliner in the color black and marking all of the days for the calendars in my future log. Right now I'm just writing the days out because I'm going to come back later and do some more decorative font styles with the month and days of the week. And you'll notice my lighting just changed. The rest of this video was actually filmed on a different day and at night, so I'm using a lamp to light up the space. So here I am marking out the dates and days of my holiday spread. And what I like to do is alternate the months in colors. So that way, instead of drawing lines to separate them, they are just naturally separated by the contrasting color. And this Tombow Twintone is a lot more pigmented in person. I think my lighting was just too bright, and that's why it's kind of hard to read on this. And if you will notice, I did write Labor Day in the wrong color, but I decided to just leave it because trying to white out and cover up and all of that just kind of makes things look messy, and I wanted to go ahead and leave it alone. And I will come back later and erase all of the pencil markings. I decided not to film that part just because it took up a lot of time. So here I'm just going to finish out writing the holidays. And on to the next spread, where I am going to kind of figure out the spacing so that I can center the letters for the months. And if you'll notice, for January, I got a little gutsy and went straight in with the Staedtler. So for the rest of the months, I went ahead and picked up my pencil and sketched them out. I am following the same font that I used for the month of July, and just kind of making sure that everything follows the way I wanted it to look. And going back in with the Staedtler and using downward strokes to get nice, straight, and clean lines. See, here on the July spread, I'm using a Pigma Micron to mark out the line accents first, and then I'm going to go in with the stencil and mark out all of the hexagons. And I am alternating the hexagons at the bottom between black and gray. So here with my Staedtler, I'm going to just fill in lines of all of the letters and numbers on the page. And I'm just using a very simple handwritten font for the calendar itself. And going back in with the stencil so that I can keep crisp lines on my hexagons, I'm going to color them in. Now these pages here I'm going to come back and decorate later, but for now I'm just going back over all of the letters and numbers. Here I'm using little dots in all of the corners that will be the calendar, so that way I know exactly where to draw my lines. And I do follow my months from Sunday to Saturday, so that's why the bottom line is shorter, because it's only Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and I wanted this to look just like a regular calendar. So here I'm just going in and marking the vertical lines. And I will tell you, this did take a little bit of time to go in and draw each of these calendars, but one thing I'm not going to do is go in and write all of the numbers for the days. I'm just going to leave them blank because the white space really gives it that minimalist look. And so here are the different habits I would like to keep track of this month. I really kind of minimized this from what I was previously tracking, mostly because there was ones that just got filled in every day because I managed to make that habit happen every day. So I don't feel the need to track them anymore. Again, super simple, just writing out gratitude with my Fudenosuke. And here is my Etsy sales and plans. And you'll notice later in the final flip through, that I actually went back and covered up that title because I wasn't happy with the way it came out. And here, I didn't film it, but I marked the separation in the months with that gray Tombow. And now I'm just doing the brush lettering at the top with the Fudenosuke. And I just tried to misspell the word August, but I'm going to go back in and cover that up later as well. And for the font style on the days of the week, I'm writing them in a sort of flowy cursive that's connected all the way across. And this is one of the pages I left blank earlier. I decided I want to do a spread for how I'd like a typical day to go. And this is going to follow the schedule of a work day, not the weekends, because those are pretty hard to plan out on a grand scale like this. But my day job is a Monday through Friday, 8 to 5:30, so it's pretty easy to kind of write out exactly how I'd like things to go. So I'm just starting with a long rectangle in the middle and marking out 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. And here I'm drawing a little sun. You can't see it because I was out of frame. But now I'm just going to make lines and boxes, kind of blocking out the times in which I would like certain things to happen within. And I did this part first just to make sure I kept the spacing all nice and even. And somewhere around here I took my headband off, so my hair keeps ending up in the frame, and I do want to apologize for that if it's obstructing your view at all. But here I'm just using a clean printed font in all capital letters and making sure everything is evenly spaced, so that way I can maintain all of that white space that will give this spread that sort of minimalist feel to it. I'm going to leave the next 2 pages blank for now because I'm still not sure what I'd like in them. And this is actually the page spread after the Etsy sales spread, because I wanted to go ahead and add in a budget tracker. And I just used 2 of the gray Tombows to draw this out. And it's just very simple budget tracker. And then here I'm going to use the other Fudenosuke to mark out the title of these pages. Now I'm going to go in and fill out my index. I like to have the page number and then the title, so I drew a line to keep it nice and straight all the way down. And I'm using the bold side of the pen to mark out July because I will have it as page 8 through whatever the last day of July ends on. And here I'm taking the same stencil from earlier to add some decoration to these pages. And I didn't film the first part of it, but I did the same thing to fill in the black hexagons that I'm doing now with the gray. Just randomly placing it over the calendar and then filling it in. And then on these next 2 pages, I'm doing the same thing, just adding a couple of hexagons in the colors black and gray to give it a cohesive look across the month of July. And I didn't do this on my expense tracker only because there wasn't any space for that. So that is the end of this plan with me. Here's a nice little look over of everything. I'm really glad with how this turned out. I have been very inspired by the minimalist Bujo recently, and so I decided to finally give it a go. and I definitely like the way these pages came out. My favorite one by far is my habit tracker. I just love the way it looks. And that's gonna be it, guys. Thanks for watching. You'll have